Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls,
Welcome, my lords!
welcome to Movies Talk History, the channel where movie characters always have something to say about twisted and amazing stories from the past.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Today's episode is about a brief moment in time when Adolf Hitler, the murderous dictator of Nazi Germany, became a marriage counselor. The couple who was lucky enough to be counseled by such a big shot is depicted in this family portrait.
You're so cute. Sweet kids.
The children may be lovely, but the parents, they are a very different story. This is Magda Goebbels, a close friend and companion of Adolf Hitler. You know, the guy who plunged the planet headfirst into World War II and was the initiator and the architect of the Holocaust.
Nazis?
Don't call me a Nazi!
Even worse, Magda is not only a good buddy of one of the most evil men that ever lived, but she herself was pretty high up the evil scale. She let her Jewish stepfather be swallowed in the destruction of the Holocaust and finally murdered 6 of her 7 children.
What the hell?
I know, pretty bad stuff, but more on that later. On to him. Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi German Minister of Propaganda. Not only was he also a good friend of Hitler's, he was actually his mouthpiece. He gave rabid speeches full of hate, produced movies and materials for the party, promoted the policy of discrimination against Jews and other minorities, and actually supported their extermination.
You're sick! You're evil!
Exactly my thoughts. However, what's interesting about the story is that even though Joseph and Magda Goebbels were twice close to divorcing, their marriage was counseled directly by Adolf with some pretty gruesome outcomes. But let's start from the top. The story begins in 1929 in Berlin. Magda Ritschl is a fresh divorcee. She's running around living her best life with separation money and a generous alimony from her previous marriage with Günther Quandt. Her ex-husband is an obscenely rich German industrialist, one of the founders of BMW, whom she had cheated on and got caught doing so. Although her friends and family are telling her to enjoy her rich, carefree, single life and stop dreaming about more, she declares she is bored and wants some excitement and a real purpose. In 1930, at a meeting of the Nazi Party, Magda hears a passionate speaker, the district leader of Berlin, Joseph Goebbels, delivering a powerful speech that stuck in her mind and inspired her to become a Nazi herself.
I'm in love!
Yeah, anyway. Trying to find a purpose within the party, she goes to work first for Goebbels' deputy and then gets promoted to collaborate directly with her celebrity crush Joseph himself. An anti-Semitic writer and historian, Joseph Goebbels had become a Nazi party member in 1923, being inspired by Hitler's speeches and his extremism. He started working with the party as a collaborator of one of Hitler's adversaries in the organization, Gregor Strasser, but quickly switched sides and became a good friend and partner of the future Führer. He helped him with the elections and wrote in his diary, "Adolf Hitler, I love you, because you are both great and simple at the same time."
Oh my God!
Okay, someone give that man a glass of water. Throughout his life, his relationships with women were intense but short-lived. Separations always left him feeling desperate and suicidal. Historians have argued that he was in a lifelong pursuit of women because of a physical disability that left him feeling unwanted. So from the point when Magda became his secretary, it was only a matter of time before she got to go on a work trip with him. They ended up becoming romantically involved. As his lover, Magda would go along to meetings with Adolf Hitler. The Führer started liking her, and they became such close friends that Goebbels became paranoid and started to wonder if he would lose her to the big boss.
Leave her alone.
Don't worry, luckily for him, he did not lose her, and in 1931, barely 1 year after falling in love, Joseph and Magda got married, with Hitler as a witness. Their rise on the political scene in Nazi Germany as one of the most prominent couples had started. As Goebbels ascended through the ranks of the government to become the Minister of Propaganda and finally the emissary for total war, his wife grew ever closer to Hitler. She was named by some the unofficial First Lady of the country at the time, representing the regime by responding to letters written by German women asking about domestic issues. Hitler would even drop by late at night at their house to talk to them, relax and play with their children. But life in the limelight was not all smooth sailing for them. In 1933, just 2 years after getting married, Magda Goebbels reverted to old habits and started an affair with Kurt Lüdecke, a man who had been raising money for the Nazi party. Joseph was not a loyal husband either. 3 years later, he met a Czech actress by the name of Lida Barova and started having an affair with her, which was still flaming in 1938.
This is so deliciously complicated.
It just wouldn't be interesting otherwise. So by this time, Goebbels is actually thinking about leaving his family behind and starting a new life with the young actress. But Magda has other plans for him and their family. Although the relationship with her husband is clearly not functioning anymore, she goes to talk to Hitler about Joseph's affair and asks him for help, playing on the Führer's sympathies. Hitler is now caught between the two. On one side, he has his good friend, a minister in his government, a loyal servant and unwavering lackey, who's praising him daily in the media and tirelessly pursuing any and all of his enemies, real or made up. On the other side, he has another good, maybe too good friend, a member of his inner circle, an unofficial representative of the regime, a woman who improves his image just by being around and making him look less single and awkward. So what will he do? Who will he side with?
Tell me, you told like 50 million people, and you can't tell me?
All right, I'll tell you. In the end, Hitler makes a rational choice and decides what's best for himself. Because he has allowed this family to become famous and be used as a role model for the German folk, because he needs their image to complement his, and because he derives a weird pleasure from using the couple to fill his own need for a family, he rules that they must remain together. But, as anyone who has tried to give relationship advice might know, this is easier said than done. However, Hitler knew one very useful thing by now. Joseph Goebbels is completely dependent on him, not just for money and power, but primarily for approval, which seems to be his driving force in life. So the lackey's psychological addiction to his master will be the key that the dictator must turn, and turn he does.
You sneaky devil.
Well, that's how he got to be the Führer. After a brief sit-down with the Adolf, Goebbels magically decides to break off his relationship with Lida and get back with his wife. He must have had a hard time being faced with the prospect of losing the friendship of the only man that mattered to him, a cold and cruel killer who caused the death of tens of millions of people. What's there not to like?
Nothing, I tell you.
Yes, but the magic trick pulled by the Führer does not provide for a lengthy solution. After just 3 months, even without a mistress between them, Joseph and Magda are again fighting so violently word reaches Hitler. This time he has to sit down with both of them and explain who the boss is and how they will have to remain a couple for as long as he has anything to say about it. Not only that, he organizes a photo shoot together with them and their children, intending to send a clear message to the public that the Goebbels are back together. And it was him who did it as a merciful and loving ruler who values the family. So what does this accomplish for the evil couple, the best friends of the evil autocrat? Well, not much. The same year, Magda has another affair with Karl Hanke, one of her husband's deputies. Joseph himself also has a number of other affairs. In a sense, the couple remain together just as a facade and continue separate lives, while putting on a smiling face for the camera and posing as the couple Hitler wants them to be. All of this just because they love the money, the power, and more importantly, to revel in his grace. But the end is a dark twist to this story. In 1945, the Nazis were losing the war, and the Allies were conquering more and more German territory, with the Russians closing in on Berlin. There, in an underground bunker, Hitler is hiding together with the Goebbels family, including their 6 small children. The couple is still caught in the same psychological trap and refuses to leave his side, wanting to be together with him to the bitter end.
I don't like where this is going.
Don't know how it can get any worse.
Oh, it's bad, trust me. Hidden underground, they talk about the fact that without the Führer, life will no longer be worth living. In letters sent by Magda from the bunker, she describes how she cannot imagine a life without the respect and adulation they have been receiving, and how she fears the reprisals from the victors. She seems to know full well about the horrors that the Nazis had committed throughout the war. And if she cannot live like that, she says, surely her children can neither. And so, on the 1st of May 1945, Magda Goebbels drugs her 6 children, then poisons them, and later commits suicide together with her husband Joseph.
How can you be so stupid?
Stupid, psychopathic, narcissistic, and delusional, but that's just my opinion. It's not a stretch of the imagination to think that, had it not been for Hitler's intervention and his orders for the two to remain together, this family would have been separated. In 1945, the children, together with their mother, would probably have been somewhere far away from the Hitler bunker. So when Adolf's crimes came back to haunt him in the form of the Red Army advance, Joseph would have been the only one of them to die together with his idol, the Nazi dictator.
Yes, probably right.
Sadly, I probably am. So that's it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to this channel.